We want to tell you about something, or a couple of things.
There's a few things. Because it's October and this is Two Girls, One Ghost. So we have some updates.
Mm-hmm. And the first one is something that we do every year.
It's a Halloween costume contest. And we give out trophies.
Yeah, we do. I don't even know what the trophies this year look like.
I should have opened them and debuted them.
That's okay. No, it's going to be a surprise.
It's a spooky surprise. I can see them out of the corner of my eye. It's exciting. We love seeing the costumes every single year. And so we're going to choose 3 of the best costumes this year, and you'll get something special from us and a trophy. To enter into the contest, there's really nothing much you need to do other than tag us in your costume photo on Instagram.
Yep. Whether it's your story or your feed post. Feed post we'll be able to look at probably better.
Better for considerations.
Yeah,
definitely.
So that we can actually go back and it doesn't disappear after 24 hours. But yeah, get your game on. Go play.
All right, all stars, we have another update for you as well. And that is that on our Patreon, every single Tuesday, we do something called Campfire Stories, where we all show up to this live event on Zoom and we bring people on stage and they tell us our ghost stories. Our ghost stories. They're ours once they tell them to us.
We collect your ghost stories.
They tell us our ghost. Oh my God. They tell us their ghost stories. And it's super fun. We do it every single Tuesday. And so we thought for that Tuesday right before Halloween,
October 29th,
we can open it up to everybody so everyone can join and we can just have an immense gathering of haunted people.
An immense gathering. So we will post that on our socials and it's a Zoom link that you will be able to join. Campfire Stories is so much fun. Actually, one of my favorite memories from Campfire Stories is one of our listeners came on probably a year and a half ago, or maybe more. And they told us about all these hauntings that they were experiencing. And everyone that was on that Campfire Stories set intentions. It was like a group manifestation. We were all witches. We are all witches. And we sent good vibes to our listeners' way. And we were like, let's cleanse the space. Only positive energy is surrounding you. No hauntings or nothing dark or evil is allowed to enter her space. She came back 4 or 5 months later and said, since that night, not a single haunting has happened.
Which is so wild. I mean, I believe it because it's everybody's energy together.
Yeah, we're powerful over there.
My favorite moment was when our listener, Emma, was telling us about her haunted apartment complex. And we were like, do you think your roommates and your neighbors would be open to a seance? And Emma came back that very next week with everyone from her apartment building gathered around a Ouija board, and we all watched them connect with the dead.
Yeah, we had a live seance that we watched Emma do.
So we never really know what's going to happen on Campfire Stories.
And then we had another Emma who came on with ducks one time. I think it was while you were on maternity leave.
We have tarot cards being pulled. There's so many different things.
So if you want to get rid of some dark energy and call upon the energy and power of the Two Girls, One Ghost community, or if you have any ghost stories that you want to share with us, please come join us on Campfire Stories. It will be available for everyone. And then after that, if you like what you see, join us on Patreon every Tuesday for live ghost stories at 8 p.m.
Eastern.
Yes.
We live on the Eastern Seaboard.
We do. 5 p.m. Pacific. And it's always available for replay as well on Patreon. We love you Halloween.
Bonjour.
You looked at me in a way that it could have gone so many different directions. And that makes a lot of sense given our outfits, but it was not. It was not.
I just feel like I should be showing you my sourdough starters right now.
Yeah.
I should be feeding my bread and my yeast.
Yeah. You have that vibe.
I am.
Yeah.
We all have a little yeast in our bodies, right?
We're yeasty over here.
We're yeasty gals.
We're also pretty beasty.
Instead of beastie boys, we're yeasty girls.
But we're yeasty girls. We are beasty today because this is an Encounters episode and we have a theme.
Peace. Cryptids.
Creatures.
Cryptids, weird creatures.
Odd entities.
The coolest stuff out there.
Do you want to introduce us?
Sure. This is Two Girls, One Ghost.
Two Girls, One Ghost. And we are your ghostesses. That is Corinne.
That is Sabrina. I stole your line.
That's fine.
I gave you a moment.
Actually, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Should we just stay like this the whole time? Witch! She's a witch!
She's a witch! Have you seen those videos? They're like all on TikTok where people are like, they dress up as kind of like in the top hat and the little like penny loafer things. And they smack their legs together and go, witch! It's hilarious.
I have seen a couple of those.
I like them.
But yes, we have a theme today for this encounters. Cryptids, creatures, odd entities. I don't know what inspired this theme, but it's spooky season.
We're always inspired by it.
Listen, people start to wear masks around Halloween.
Yeah. Also, I think it's important to remember, yes, our name is Two Girls, One Ghost, and we tell a lot of ghost stories, but it's the whole blanket of the paranormal is what we're after. So conspiracy theories, Bigfoot encounters, alien abductions, all of that. That's our vibe. And so we don't have to just talk about ghosts and poltergeists here. No. We can talk about
we literally could talk about whatever the fuck we want because it's our podcast.
Because we are our own bosses.
Yeah, we are. I felt like I had something to share with you, but I forget, which
that's okay.
Is not new for us. So I feel like we're still on brand.
Yeah.
I do want to say to anyone who is listening, a couple little like business things up front. Hello.
Oh, okay. Very serious.
So serious.
Happy October, everyone. Listen to our business corner.
Business number 1. We have YouTube and we are in costume. So go check us out on YouTube. We also are doing fun live streams and spooky things, especially, because we live together now, basically.
We live together.
We live together. I moved in.
And they were roommates.
Go check out stuff on our YouTube. It's really fun over there. We're getting weird. We're getting spooky. We're dabbling. And Corinne has no idea what she signed up for.
Yeah, a lot has changed in the past 3 months. And also, just as a teaser, we are working on creating a little bit of a recording studio soon.
Yeah, we are.
If you're a regular over at YouTube, you'll see soon enough.
And also, we're going to be so much funnier and wittier because we're going to be together and there's not going to be a lag of internet.
Exactly.
The only lag we can blame now is our brains.
Which has probably always been the issue.
Yes. Would you like to start?
Sure.
Okay.
I picked this one out because it's called Seeing an Alien at Church. And that felt
cool. Yeah.
Very cool. Something I wish to have encountered all the times I had to go to mass.
Yes.
But alas, nothing abducted me there.
No. Have you tried your own breast milk?
No, not yet. But when I kiss Noah's cheeks, sometimes when it like dribbles off, he still has a little bit. And it's like I get a little taste of the sweetness.
You get a little taste. Okay.
It's pretty sweet. It's like he's a little butterfly. It's a
you
little
have a sweet
nectar
supply.
Water. I do. I have. I've thought a lot about like, what if I was stranded in the woods with Noah? Like, if I'm just curious about this situation of like,
I love that this is what you've been thinking about.
Breast milk, how long it would last for me to be able to feed myself and him before like completely depleted. Because then I'm like losing liquid, but then I'm regaining the liquid.
Interesting.
I'm curious about it.
I don't think you can sustain yourself off of breast milk.
No. And I probably...
But you could forage.
I don't know what I would do. Why am I so nervous? I'm like panicked.
Well.
Why did I do this to myself?
Anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm keeping him alive.
You are.
Okay.
Yes.
Hello, girls. It's me, Bren, again.
You're like, moving on.
Stop
talking about this.
I can't have another panic attack. Okay. I'm still waiting for the therapist to call me back. I've been listening to some of your new podcast videos on YouTube since I'm trying to catch up now. But this did remind me of a past experience dealing with alien abduction encounters and weird dreams. I remember watching this one guy who lived in the middle of nowhere, and he would record his encounter after coming across the gray aliens, or whatever they would be called, like short men, little green men. My encounter was similar to this man's, but it was quite different from his encounter with that race.
Who's this man? Is there?
I think just someone that they watch like on YouTube or something.
I know. I'm curious who it is. I want to watch this stuff.
I know. Me too. Okay. Let us know, Bren.
Yeah.
My encounter was similar to his, but it was quite different from his encounter with that race. But this all started on a Sunday night when I was around 14 or 15 years old. It was midnight mass. I don't really remember what was going on that night or what we were celebrating. But I remember I had to get ready that night since my aunt was picking me up and picking up my grandma to go to church around 6 a.m. I remember long ago.
Wait, it's midnight mass and you're getting picked up at 6 a.m.?
That confused me too, but I don't know.
Like they went over to grandma's or the aunt's house for the day before?
Maybe. Or maybe they had to go to midnight mass and then mass again at 6 a.m.
Or they literally stayed at church from 6 a.m.
Are they still
till
there?
1 a.m. They're still there.
Why am I like hunched over?
You've become a frail lady who bakes sourdough in her 1800s kitchen.
I'm so hunched over, kneading dough, stuff on my back. I remember that I had started to feel really sick to my stomach. And this feeling just felt so strange. Like I don't know how to really explain it, but I just felt like I'd wanted to throw up. And this was happening the whole way until we finally get to the church. The church was in the middle of nowhere, and since it was more of the countryside, there were just a few houses around the church. And I do remember still feeling sick to my stomach and feeling dizzy, and my aunt was wondering if I was all right because I was feeling a bit off after driving all the way there with her. So later on, I start feeling a little bit better. I'm daydreaming in Mass because Mass was pretty long.
That's what you do. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a meditation.
It is, yeah. The priest was just talking for a while, and I'm in my daydream world. This weird stuff gets really freaky since I was looking outside the window, since the windows are clear and it was pitch black outside and I was daydreaming. So you really couldn't see anything out there. And it was hard to see because it was night. It was the middle of the night and we were in the middle of nowhere in the countryside. This is where I saw something. I turn, and on the right side of the window, I see a gray alien with a big round head and black eyes. It's wearing a black suit. It looked like it was looking outside of the window and trying to look for someone or something inside of the church. And the most strange thing is I felt like I was in this trance and no one else could see what I was seeing. Everyone in the church did not see it. No one noticed. It was almost like maybe they were in a trance and they just ignored what was really going on outside of this church. I was thinking in my head, like, oh my God, everyone cannot see this. Are they brainwashed? Am I brainwashed? I'm the only one who's seeing this alien outside of my window and I'm freaking out. And I feel like I'm going to scream because I start to realize that maybe they're looking for me.
Oh, ew.
After the whole time, that thing was still there and it was watching. And I was just so damn scared. And I was so afraid the aliens would see me. So when it came time to go take Holy Communion, I did not want to go up there and let this thing see me. But my aunt, she forced me to get up. And she couldn't see this thing. And I try my best to ignore it like it never existed.
So it's there for a long time.
Yes. Just staring at Bren. But I was scared and I knew that that thing had visited me as a child. After the priest blessed my head, I immediately took off to the left side because I knew that thing saw me and I quickly ran back to my aunt and grandma back in their seat in the pew. After church was over, I was just so afraid that something would come after me and take me away from my family. But thank God it was gone that day. But still, I'm still aware that they're always watching me and I feel like they're ready to hurt me.
Oh, I don't like that connection.
Yeah. Sorry. While typing this, I understand my mind blocks out some of the horrible memories that I have. I have forgotten some of the past. But this encounter did scare me quite a bit from Bren.
Bren, I'm sorry that this happened to you because it's clear that this was traumatizing and terrifying. And clearly there are memories that Bren cannot remember for the best. Honestly, sometimes not remembering is for the best. I do feel like this experience is so strange to me because it weirdly feels like a combination of the scene in Halloween Town where like all the parents are possessed.
Yes.
Or is that Hocus Pocus?
Wait.
Does it happen in both?
Both. Okay, so the dance party is the trance in Hocus Pocus. And then in Halloween Town, they're all like in that sort of like coma trance in the movie theater.
But isn't there like another Halloween Town where they are also at a dance and like the masks get like stuck on their face and stuff?
Oh.
Anyway. Reminds me of that where like everyone's kind of in this weird trance, like not experiencing reality the same way that Bren was. But then at the same time, it also, well, now I'm getting another idea, but it makes me think of Men in Black and how the association of aliens and Men in Black, and are Men in Black actually aliens in suits?
Or is it this sort of Guardians of the Galaxy thing where it's just like anyone can be a Men in Black, and so maybe some of them are human, but maybe some of them are from all these other planets.
Right. But then I'm also like, well, maybe this alien is trying to be respectful and replicate what humans do and dress up for whatever holiday service this was.
Maybe.
Maybe or maybe not.
But also, like, wouldn't you think that they would kind of sit there respectfully listening then, instead of very clearly be like scanning inside the church looking for someone?
Oh, I have no answers. I'm literally just making shit up.
Well, and it's also scary because Bren has memories of being visited from aliens before. So it is the sort of thing where like maybe it's blocked out and it's forgotten. And then when you encounter something again, it like triggers some of the memories and the feeling of panic.
I know.
And it's also one of those things with alien abductions where it's like, especially if it's at night, like I would feel, I understand the fear because it's like, well, I'm about to go to sleep. What if I'm abducted? Or what if I don't remember?
Also,
again?
It's outside looking in.
Yeah.
Bren can see it so clearly. It's almost locking eyes, staring daggers at Bren. And then after mass, you have to walk outside. No one else sees this thing. You don't know if it's waiting for you. You don't know where it is, if it's still outside, if it's still lurking. This thing was there for a very long time with intent losing my voice. The aliens are taking it. I'm being abducted with the intent to frighten.
Right. I almost just said, at least it was only one, but like, does that make it any better?
And also, it's not one experience. We don't know what has happened in the other ones.
I know.
I still want to be abducted by aliens.
Not me.
Okay, I have one. This fell into like odd entities.
Mm-hmm.
And it is from our listener, Anthony. And it is called The Hooded Figure and Why I Cannot Sleep with My Door Closed.
Okay.
I have been wanting to write you two for some time, and my wife has been encouraging me as we're both big fans. So if you happen to read this, she will be very happy and I'll get super cool brownie points. Brownie points for everyone.
Bing.
To the story. Before I was born, my parents divorced. So as I got older, I would spend parts of the year with my dad and my stepmom, who both lived in Tucson, Arizona, and I hated their house. Not because of them or anything, but because of the vibe of the house.
Can I just say, I feel like being haunted in Arizona or like New Mexico or one of those places that has so much activity, but it's also such a super hot climate would actually be really terrifying. Because like even in the dead of winter here, I feel like it's still, you can dress to get warmer and get yourself out of your haunted house a bit. But there, it's a lot harder. I mean, I guess you could go like walk around a Walmart that's with air conditioning. But I'm thinking like you can't just be like,
of course, that's what you go
I'm going to go walk around the neighborhood or whatever because I need a break from my haunted house. It's like, okay, it's 115 degrees. You're going to perish outside.
Yes. I think there's a lot of other options aside from walking around Walmart. But
that's the only option.
I think growing up in a haunted place anywhere, it sucks. Especially as a kid. Like I think being a kid, especially when you can't drive, you don't have the ability and authority to like get yourself out of the house.
And your parents are like, no, you can't sleep in our bed every night.
Yeah. But anyway, Anthony says, it's not because I didn't like them or anything, but the house had bad vibes. Things were not right. Though it was a home, it did not feel welcoming at no fault of theirs. I'll give you a brief description of the living room as it comes into play later. As you entered the house, there was a TV and a small picture with a light over it. The light was always left on at night as a means of a nightlight for me, who was living several rooms over. To the right of that was another wall with a window. This window never opened. The following wall adjacent to that had a sofa on it facing the TV. Finally, connected to that was a wall with a doorway toward the kitchen and subsequently the hallway with my room. I'm sorry, we've said this before. Reading layouts of houses truly is like the worst math problem in the world.
Yeah, it's really hard.
I need a visual. Send us visuals. Draw your home. Okay, hopefully that was clear enough. This is not about you. It's about my brain. Okay, Anthony says, one night I was laying in bed. The light in the living room was on, and I don't recall what woke me up. But I know when I did, I was facing the doorway in my room, and I could see the lit wall in the living room. As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw on that wall was a hooded figure. It stood dead still, facing the wall with the window that didn't open. And it stood there what felt like forever, but in reality was probably only 10 seconds. Dead still, didn't move, staring through that window.
Ugh. With the hood too is so creepy.
And especially because you don't know what it looks like.
Right.
It's ominous.
Is it just a person too that's like stalking you?
But just then, it moved. And I knew it was not human based on how it moved. Instead of moving like a human walk, this thing, shadow creature, demon, whatever, glided. No bounce, no steps. Like a passing shadow in a time-lapse video. Or, if you're familiar with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the gentleman. This thing moved across the living room with no resistance, making a beeline toward the window. I hid under the covers in terror, unsure of when and if it would be safe to emerge. I don't recall how long I waited, but at some point I got the guts to get out and I ran to my parents' adjacent room. I told them what I saw and what happened, and they assured me, it's nothing. They went and looked, and you guessed it, nothing was there. Windows secured, doors locked. Everything was fine.
What the heck?
But I knew what I saw.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. Keep the confidence.
Ever since then, I firmly believed and ensured my safety by always and forever sleeping with the door closed because cryptids can't get through wooden doors, right?
Of course.
Of course not.
No.
No.
And they can't get you if you have your blankets over your toes either.
Yeah. Years later, I brought the situation back up to my dad, who had since moved from that house. And he told me that at the time they didn't want to say anything because I was young and knew I had to keep coming back to the house. But he had several experiences while living there.
How awful.
These incidents included seeing a person with no clear description standing or passing from the shadows while he was in another room.
Oof.
When he would look, the thing was gone. Either way, I'm very glad I don't have to go back there, and I hope nothing but the worst for that house.
I that.
See you on the other side. And until then, I will be safely secured behind my wooden bedroom door.
Amazing.
Anthony.
I mean, Jesus, that's terribly scary. I
Yeah.
am really glad that Anthony's like, no, I know exactly what I saw.
Yeah.
And yes, in the future did get the parents,
Validation.
validating that house was very haunted. But it is also so scary to be, even if you're like questioning what you experience,
Yeah.
it's still scary to feel like, okay, no one else around me is. And so is this targeting me? Am I the only one that's going to see this stuff? Is something wrong with me? Like, that is
Yeah.
very scary. So I'm glad that at least Anthony was like, no, I know exactly what I saw, and I'm going to try to figure out a solution. And one of those things is closing my door.
And it worked.
Yeah.
It sounded like it worked. It is creepy that one window specifically also gave bad vibes, and that's where the entity was looking out.
Yeah.
I'm also so glad the entity didn't turn to look at
know.
Anthony, because in my make it worst case scenario brain, I'm imagining truly like staring at this entity looking out the window for like 30 seconds. And then it realizes Anthony is looking at it, and it slowly turns and looks at him, and he smiles, and it's like, I'm going to eat you now. But that didn't happen.
What if it turned and it was just Anthony in the future?
Or just like a gaping black hole where a face should be.
Yeah. And it screams.
Yeah.
Or you know what would be scarier than screaming?
What? Tell me.
Singing.
I feel like a woman's like high pitched like melodies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scary.
Like the classic, like ring.
Or a child.
Rose.
Yeah.
Little Tiny Tim tiptoe through the windows.
That's like your song.
I love it. I make Noah do it with his little toes.
I love it because Noah's
Insidious?
already a creepy baby, because for
Noah sees dead
the
people.
entire pregnancy, he was listening to ghost stories. And then
Yep.
upon entering this earthly realm, ghostly activity has occurred,
Yeah.
increased quite a
He
bit.
certainly is very entertained by someone who lives here, and it's not me. So,
Stay tuned.
of course, he's Tiny Tim's #1 fan.
I have a confession to make.
What?
So we took a bathroom break between
Yeah.
recording episodes, and I did drop the string of my dress into it was before I peed. So I'm not sitting in my pee, but
Okay.
I do so wish that I had other clothes to change into.
We do.
Should we change real quick?
Yes.
Because American Eagle has got us hooked up with the spookiest Halloween collection ever.
1, 2, 3, change.
Much better.
Here we are.
Still creepy.
Bigfoot Northwest fan club.
I got some ghoulies on my sweatshirt, and I got some nice ripped jeans. Our friends at American Eagle have the spookiest Halloween gear. They have pajamas, sweatshirts, tees, comfy jeans, everything for this Halloween spooky season, which is our favorite. Also both for men and women.
And we're also the most haunted podcast out there. And they have some of the most haunting, beautiful, spooky designs. So we're super stoked that AE wanted to partner with us. And they also want to dress you this spooky season.
Yeah, they do.
They're partnering with us to give a giveaway via our Instagram. So head over to 2 Girls, 1 Ghost to enter the giveaway. It is to win a $500 gift card to shop their Halloween shirts and sweats.
So again, head to @2girls1ghost on Instagram to enter to win now through October 31st. Terms and conditions apply. But happy hauntings, you ghouls. This stuff is also very comfortable. Back to Cryptids, which is appropriate that you're wearing that shirt because
Yes.
Cryptids.
This one's called When They Go Low, I Go Lower.
It's kind of like Anthony saying, I wish that house nothing but the worst.
I know. I love this.
But I
These
also
petty people.
I hope the people in the house are not experiencing the
Right.
worst.
It's just the house.
Just the house itself.
Yeah. Although, yeah.
Or the spirit
Maybe
in the
someone
house.
thought that about my house, though, because everything is broken and now we're experiencing the worst. Okay.
Okay.
When they go low, I go lower.
Okay.
Hey, ladies. My name is Marley. You can use my name, and I'm a practicing witch.
Fuck yeah.
I love tarot, deity work, spells, and all things paranormal. My parents definitely think I'm a creepy kid, as well as my brothers. They know not to touch my witchy stuff because they are scared. And then
No
they
touchy.
wrote in parentheses, pussies. But honestly, they have a good reason to be scared.
Also, I love that so much because there was a period of time when we were on tour where people were like, or people just still say this, that like I freak them out. And I was like, okay, it's kind of offensive. But then I also was like, actually, that's the best compliment in the world. And I
Yeah.
love that Marley is instilling fear upon
Yeah.
like even her family.
Yeah. She's like, but you have right to be scared
Yeah.
of me. I've not shared these experiences with them because I know that they would just piss themselves and I would never be allowed to do anything again. So I'm keeping it on the DL. Marley's just creating a haunted house, I bet.
love Marley, I love you.
But I love attention, so you guys get to hear it. These are two of my personal experiences. The first one took place about a week ago. There's this kid at my school. I'll use a fake name for privacy reasons, so we'll name him Jeremy. Putting this as bluntly as I can, Jeremy is a little bitch.
I was going to say, I feel like Jeremy sucks.
Jeremy is a little bitch. I hate his guts. He knows I do. There's a good reason as well, because he hurt one of my friends.
Oh, yeah. Fuck Jeremy.
In response, I did the only reasonable thing, and I decided to curse this.
Yeah, Marley.
I have a pretty intricate hex for this dude, and one of the ingredients is ashes of a... Wait.
What?
Ashes of a vengeance sigil?
Is that...
I don't know. Like, there's some sort of... Where do you get one of those?
Yeah. Do you have to make it and then, like, burn it and then...
I've never heard of one.
Me neither. Marley.
Teach us.
Marley and me.
Oh, okay. Wait. I think Marley's literally about to explain it. In case y'all don't know the way sigils work, you draw out specific symbols to represent something, changing it with intentional energy and destroying it in some way to release the energy out into the universe. For me, I find burning sigils is the best way to release energy. So anyway, I make a sigil, I share it, and I burn it. I'm not expecting much from this because honestly, it's just a sigil, until I walked into class the next day.
Oh my God.
I told some friends about this because they love hearing about my witchy endeavors. And one of my friends, we can call her Mal, runs up to me in class yelling, "Burn the witch! Burn the witch!" When I ask her what she's talking about, she tells me that my sigil had worked. Jeremy had been doing splits in choir and almost started crying because of how much it hurt.
Wait, like almost as if Beetlejuice possessed forced into splits.
I don't know. At first I thought, all right, big deal. That was a stupid choice. But the very next day, he then fell in the hallway and he began bleeding. Oh my God. The day after that, he fell down the stairs. So if you ask me, this was a successful sigil. And that's what that looks like. Unfortunately, I cannot continue to curse until the summer because I need plants for it. And they aren't available for me where I live. I thought they were going to be like, well, Jeremy clearly, I don't want him to get extra hurt. But they're like,
resources.
The resources are scarce.
Limited,
I can't just keep this going. Oh my God.
You're on a little cursing sabbatical. This actually reminds me of you had mentioned, I don't know, sometime in the last 7 years, about how you said like you cursed someone and like they actually did experience like really, really terrible luck. Like Marley.
They died.
Sorry. I wasn't going to say it.
The luck was the worst you could get.
Yeah. So
my brother did the same thing. That's when we were like, we got to stop saying that.
Yeah. It sounds like you would have the same results as Marley.
Yeah. I don't know what my resources are. I guess just my words.
Yeah.
So the next and last story happened maybe 2 years ago. And for context, I have 3 brothers. 1 is older than me and 2 are younger. Okay. Despite it being summertime, my mom and dad always put my younger brothers to bed earlier and they let us older kiddos choose what time we got to go to sleep.
Fuck yeah.
It was the beginning of summer, so as a teenager, I stayed up late. I always shower before I go to bed, so I decided I would do the same as usual. It was about midnight when I got out of the shower, and I was still in my bathrobe with my towel on my head. I was just about to get into my PJs when I heard something from my window. Knock, knock, knock. My first thought was, oh great, now I get to be an episode on Morbid Podcast. Then I heard a little voice calling out, still from outside my window. Marley. Hey, Marley, come here.
I hate it.
Marley,
hi,
come out here. I need help.
Nope.
My first thought was, hey, I recognize that voice.
Oh no, whose was it?
And my next immediate thought was, holy shit, something is not right. What is going on? The reason for this reaction was because it was the voice of my little brother, the same one who'd been asleep upstairs inside for the past 5 hours. So if my brother was upstairs, what the hell was outside my window trying to get me to come out? I live in the Midwest. My stepdad is native. So I've heard stories about cryptids in our area.
Especially, we're not going to say the name, but SW.
Yep. I've learned about them, their tactics. I knew about hide-behinds, flush pedestrians, and most terrifying, in my opinion, mimics. Mm-hmm. Like I'd always been told, I ignored it. It didn't say anything else to me after that. The next day, I placed protective circles on my house and I tried not to think about what had happened while I was around my neighborhood, as I assumed it would draw the mimic, which is what I presumed it was, back to me and my family. I'm willing to admit that I'm not the most powerful witch ever.
Yes, you are.
It kind of seems like maybe, yeah, you totally are.
Yeah.
Mimics are older than time and they've been everywhere and they've seen more things than I can ever imagine. But the circles worked because...
Again, powerful fucking
Yeah.
witch.
But I do know that it's still there. I feel it all the time, watching and waiting. Some days it's so obvious that it's watching me and my family that I have to force my brother to go inside because I don't want to leave them alone around it.
Thank God they have you, Marley.
God forbid they try to make my brothers victims of their mimicry. Oftentimes, my younger brother, the one whose voice I heard that night, will ask me what the scariest thing is that's ever happened to me. And I always tell him that I'll let him know when he's older because I can't imagine telling him something was trying to lure me in the middle of the night using his voice.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are my experiences. I love you guys and your podcast so much. See y'all on the other side. Losing my last marble, Marley. The best sign-off I've ever read.
We've had some great sign-offs in this episode. Marley, can you teach us how to be witches? Because despite your statement of saying you're not the most powerful, you are crazy powerful.
Right. Yeah. You know how to... Here, I want a money spell, please.
Same.
Thank you.
I want a lot of spells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there was this beautiful mansion that I saw. It was in Louisville, Kentucky.
Uh-huh.
Well, it felt like a mansion. It was like a giant Victorian townhome for sale. And it was like 1.15. It was like 7,000 square feet.
That's massive.
I know. And it just made me like, I was like sick to my core looking through all the pictures of it.
Because I was Gone Wild.
Yeah, it was on Zillow Gone Wild. I was like, think about the witchy, hocusy pocus houses that we could
one day.
We could have one day.
It's on our scroll of ideas of where we want to own and operate like a haunted like retreat.
Yeah.
Home.
Maybe not in New England because we need some Stephen King money for something like that. But water.
Marley, I love you. You're great. And give yourself some credit because you're right. These entities have been around for so freaking long and have all the knowledge of probably beyond even just Earth and energy here on Earth, but just energy universally. You're up against a powerful entity, and yet you have been able to keep them at bay.
Right.
Despite them like lurking.
Marley's giving me the Craft vibes.
Yes. And also best friend vibes. Like Marley's giving me
I
wet
do feel
willying.
bad for Jeremy. I have to
Well, what did he do? What did he do?
I think 3 injuries is enough. Also, maybe tell him that you cursed him or hexed him, and that if he does it again, you'll hex him again. And maybe that will solve things.
Maybe he learned his lesson.
Threaten him.
I think she did.
She put actions
Sometimes threats are with action.
Oh, I would probably totally do that same thing when I was in high school. Some people you need to spook them a little.
Yeah.
A strained groin and some cuts on your legs.
It's not the worst thing that could happen. It's not what happened when you cursed someone. So
sorry to my teacher.
Okay, I have one to end us on. And I picked it because it reminds me a little bit of an area near us that we've talked about and want to explore, the Bridgewater Kidney Bean.
Oh, I was going to say the Lynn Woods Reservation because we've talked about
going
there and getting lost in the ghosts.
Is that where the rock is?
Yeah.
Why am I blanking on it?
Dudley
Rock?
Dungeon Rock. Dudley Road is different. There's a rock.
There's a rock
in the woods.
Rocks are cursed. It's from our listener, G. Hey, boo, Tefal gals. I absolutely adore you. And I'm barely even halfway caught up on listening, but you're constantly playing in my truck while I'm riding the horses and, just constantly, always. I'm not very in touch with the paranormal, but I have had over a dozen encounters, which I would say arguably compared to many other people, that's more in touch than most.
Very in touch.
But I guess I'm just calloused to it. This is a little bit different than a typical ghost or demon. This is about a whole ass paranormal town.
Oh, cool.
For background, me and my dad are quite literally best friends.
Aw, so sweet.
My immediate reaction was like, I want to cry. I'm jealous.
Well, let's
so
just
happy
say,
for you.
Most people are not best friends with their parents. So yes, very happy for you.
Also, Dad, if you're listening to this,
make her a friendship bracelet right now.
My dad is a single dad, and I'm the youngest of 4 daughters, and we both love everything spooky. I grew up in a small town with a very famous old haunted asylum. Which one? I'm curious. So we road trip a couple of times a year, always including one creepy stop. Haunted houses, Point Pleasant to see Mothman, all that good stuff.
So good. I hope you took a picture in front of the Mothman statue.
Yes. But the statue's in Chicago.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Why didn't we go there when we were in Chicago? Well, I guess we had like 2 hours before.
And it's probably
our show.
like a suburb in Chicago,
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole separate trip where we're not on tour. We literally it's you and I on tour
Going
of
specifically to
haunted
go
spots.
see the
Yeah.
Mothman statue.
Yeah, exactly. So this incredibly long story takes place on the one trip where we actually had zero intention of seeing anything spooky, but of course has turned into a story that we both feel so strange recounting it years later. It is interesting that it's like the one trip they didn't plan.
Yeah.
And the paranormal world's like, excuse me,
You
can't
forgot
forget about
about
us.
us.
Yeah. Okay, so it's back in 2017. We flew out from New England to Southern California to visit family. One day, we wanted to drive out to the desert because we both love the dunes and love seeing the stars out there at night. We're having a blast, hours into the Borrego desert. I think I said that right. I don't know. And we're both getting kind of hungry, but there's absolutely no stores, no town, and very little phone service. After 4 hours into the sand and cacti, we finally see this itsy bitsy little town. And of course, as two Sicilian Irish minds work, we are praying for sandwiches and beer. You could literally drive through this town in 30 seconds. That's how small it is.
Wow.
But it's also this weird mix of very new age and very run down. There is a Mexican restaurant and a dollar store that look like they've been abandoned for years. But there are also a few gastropubs and bistros.
That kind of oddly reminds me of White River Junction in Vermont, which I love stopping in when I drive through because it's like this old train station. And there's like two roads, basically, it feels like.
It's like Jerome, Arizona, too.
Yeah.
Like that ghost town.
And there's a bunch of stuff that just like looks like it's been there forever and it's
Yeah.
run down. But then there's these super trendy, like Turkish restaurants,
Right.
American fusion.
like homemade
just kind of
breweries,
yeah,
like
sprinkled
really
right
good
in.
IPAs.
Yeah.
So even more odd, we were driving the only regular car in sight. It was a Chevy midsize SUV, and everyone else had cars that I couldn't even begin to identify because, well, let's be real, a poor farm kid doesn't exactly know her $1 million sports cars. That's also weird that I would have imagined like old-timey cars, but they're all
Right.
sports cars.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? It was truly strange because the few houses in the town were very modest, small ranches, and there were no two stories. But, you know, rich people are weird, so who gives a flying fart? So we go into the most basic looking restaurant. We go up to the counter to order, and their menu has options that aren't really typical. I mean, there wasn't even a burger or a wrap or a salad or anything in sight. So I ask, can I just get a grilled cheese? Please, no judgment. I'm a full-grown adult with a broad palate, but nothing hits as hard as a grilled cheese. No judgment.
I agree with that. So good.
The lady looks at me like I just ran over her dog and says, "A what?" After a few seconds of explaining to her what a grilled cheese sandwich is, she claims she has never heard of anything like that, and that is not an option.
What?
So I'm like, this is fucking weird, but in my mind, I'm like, this must be just a weird regional thing. And we ended up ordering something else that I think was pretty terrible, but we, again, just chalked it up to weird rich people being weird rich people. Even more odd, from the second we walked in to the second we left, everyone in the place was staring at us.
Ew. I hate this. This feels beyond just like a little time slip. This feels like you entered a whole new world.
Like a total different dimension.
Right.
It's very Twilight Zone-y. It's also very House of Wax. Yeah, creepy vibes.
Ooh.
And I'm like, again, making excuses in my head, like maybe they don't like strangers. But it really did seem lively until we opened the door. And the second we walked in, dead quiet. But I'm like, okay, I understand. I live in a small town too. But then I'm like, nobody here looks like they belong together. They were all wearing different clothing styles. They were conversing strangely. And I pick up on vibes very, very easily. And so I was immediately on edge. But I didn't mention it to my dad. Halfway through eating, he turns to me and said, "I feel like we're prey right now."
Oh my God.
"Sir, you are supposed to keep me from panicking. Why are you telling me this?" But he was right. It was like we were not supposed to be there and that we were not welcome. Oh, that's like the animalistic energy of fight or flight
kicking in.
Survival
Jesus.
instincts. So we got back in the car and agreed it was time for us to get the heck out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But we did want to stop at the nature center at the edge of town first. Luckily, that part was uneventful, but I had taken pictures on my phone of the wildlife and I had taken pictures of the town while we were leaving. Some of the cool cars, basically just for proof so that I knew I was not hallucinating.
Yeah.
We go back on the main road as the sun was starting to set and headed back to our family's house. Keep in mind, we had driven out into the desert for about 4 hours. It took us 7 hours to get back. There was no traffic. We didn't take any wrong turns. Just the desert kept extending and extending like it wouldn't let us go.
I'm feeling anxiety.
I know.
My heart's going pitter-patter.
Pitter-patter. Maybe we had seen too much. Maybe the town was supposed to stay hidden. When we got back to our home in New England a few days later, I went back through my phone to look at the photos. Guess what? They were gone.
Are you shitting my dick right now?
They were not in the regular camera roll. They were not in my deleted photos. They were not on my laptop, not on my Google Drive or my iCloud. They were just gone. I told my dad, and so he tried to Google the town and look up the history of it. Literally nothing. Nothing. We found a couple of towns that were on other sides of the desert, and we found one called Borrego Springs that was similar, but there were a lot of details that we distinctly remember that were different.
Weird.
It's almost like the place we were in was a bad photocopy of the one that we had found online. Okay, so a bad feeling, odd strangers, no photograph proof, and literally no history or evidence of it actually even existing. We did find something on the internet. The relative area is called the Borrego Triangle. There have been sightings of UFOs, Bigfoot-like creatures with white fur, ghosts, strange lights, haunted trails, and glowing eyes that stay just outside of the edge of your headlights at night.
Ew.
And this goes back to the flipping 1800s.
Oh my God. This is an old, I almost said ghost story, but it's not even a ghost story.
It's a mysterious town that exists in a timeline and you're not supposed to see it.
That's weird. It kind of reminds me of like, you know how Area 51 is us humans experimenting with all these different things? Yeah. What if this area is all of the paranormal experimenting with different things? So it's like they drove in and they just happened to be the test subjects for this fake town to see like what the reaction was.
They like put up a set real quick and like, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
It does feel like they stumbled upon something they shouldn't have though, the way that everyone was acting. G says, did we stumble across something we weren't supposed to? Who were those weird people? Were they all actors? Were they protecting something?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. All I know is that I am still mad 7 years later that I'd never got my damn grilled cheese that day.
No.
Best of luck to you, ghouls. I'll see you on the other side. G.
Okay. I know that this is not what happened at all, but this is reminding me just slightly of the article that I had read where a truck driver stopped on the set of Riverdale and went into the diner to try to order food because it looked so real. Like,
I did not know filming. This.
Yeah. And they had to tell him like, oh, this
hysterical.
This is a movie set. So it makes me almost like wish that that's what happened. And it was just a bunch of like extras.
No, but they would have told them. And They would have learned that.
And there would have been, equipment for filming.
And they wouldn't have been served whatever meal that they were actually served.
I know. I wonder what food they ate. What did it taste like?
Also, like, were you still hungry afterwards? Because I'm curious if you were in like an alternate dimension, if you actually even were able to digest something, or also
was it even real food? Was it just like all fake?
I want to go to this town.
You can't. It has
but
to.
You go to the air. It has to appear to you.
Yes. It comes to you.
Gee, I know this is weird, but I'm jealous of your relationship with your dad, and I'm jealous of this experience you had because how freaking cool you survived entering another dimension.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
Not many people can say that.
You didn't have a grilled cheese.
No, I know. What kind of dimension is that?
Twilight
what kind of food was on the menu? I would like to know.
Did you get a beer? Was that good?
It's so strange to think that a grilled cheese wouldn't be, I don't know, just like invented in every dimension. Like how basic.
I feel bad for these people in that dimension then. Maybe they would be more welcoming and happy if they did have grilled cheese.
I wonder if we have a listener out there who served this person and they were like, oh yeah, I was having a really bad day and I just didn't want to serve these people grilled cheese.
I have a feeling that we have a listener maybe in an alternate dimension who still is like, what is this grilled cheese? Why do people keep talking about grilled cheese?
Yeah. Because I do believe our podcast can slip through dimensions and be
100%
in various realms.
100%. There's no rules. And you're all haunted. We're haunted. Who knows what time is? Who knows how many dimensions there are? We don't know how it works. Infinite,
maybe, or none at all.
Yeah.
What if we don't even exist?
We might trigger not. Truman Show.
Yeah. Not to send anyone into a spiral, but it's all a bit confusing,
it
right?
Is.
But we're here to talk about it and stay confused and stay scared.
Yeah. And enjoy ourselves a little bit along the way. So if you have any paranormal encounters, doesn't have to be cryptids, creepy, paranormal ghosts. It could be literally anything odd and unusual. Please email it to us at twogirlsoneghostpodcast@gmail.com or join us on Patreon, where every Tuesday we have live campfire stories and you can share your story live with us.
Thank you to our editor, Jamie. And thank you to all of you for being so haunted, for joining our community, for emailing us all of your stories, and just for
existing. Maybe existing if we exist.
Happy October. Happy Halloween.
Spooky season. We love you so much. And we are also so glad to be back together recording.
Mm-hmm.
We love you all.
And we will
See you on the other side.